magazine, and we're here talking with Terry Brooks, fantasy author best known for his work on the Sword of Shannara. You said before you had a life-changing experience when you read The Lord of the Rings, and it drew you to writing fantasy. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
It actually wasn't what drew me to writing fantasy. It was the form that I liked a lot, and I wanted to write something in the tradition of Faulkner, believe it or not. I was very enamored with Faulkner at the time I was in college, and I was in my junior year when I read Lord of the Rings, and I had loved what I saw Faulkner do with Yoktokonafa County. But I didn't want to do historical research work because I hated research, and I was looking for the easy way out. So I read Lord of the Rings, and I thought, well, what if I build a world like Tolkien did? And I would have, creatures out of mythology and legend populate this world. But instead of them being those creatures, they would be humans who had been altered by a nuclear apocalypse. So that was sort of the impetus. And Tolkien gave me the form that I wanted to use, which was a sprawling saga. But in my case, it was going to be a generational saga. So that was it. But yes, he gave me the impetus for where I was going with the story.
You stopped practicing law full-time in order to be a writer. Would you like to tell us a little bit about how you came to that decision?
It was easy. After I published the first book, I started to do something about being a writer from having read the lives of other writers, and I knew that it was easy to just write one good book or one successful book and then tank. And I really didn't want to do that because I was really committed to being a writer for my life. But how do you do this, right? So I had a very good editor at that time who was also a mentor to me in many ways, almost like a father figure named Lester Del Rey. And he said, well, Brooks, you do not quit your day job, which I had at that time, until you have at least 3 books and a year's salary in the bank. And I said, well, okay, I guess I could do that. So I kept my day job. I went on to write those 3 books that he was talking about, and at the end of that time I had reached a place in my life where I was extremely unhappy, and so I made the jump and said, this is it. I've got 3 books, they've been on the bestseller list, I've got to start here. It deserves to have full-time concentration, and that's what I was going to do. But I will tell you, I was worried about it because I thought if I didn't have the safety net of a full-time job to keep me structured, that maybe with all that free time I'd freeze up. I did worry about that.
You worked on the novelization of The Phantom Menace. As a Star Wars fan, what was that like for you?
Great fun. I had worked on Hook also before that with Spielberg. I hated every minute of it. It was an unbearable experience. And after it was over with, I said, I will never, ever again, you see where that's going. And I said it to everybody, and I said it publicly. And then, of course, 4 years later comes the call. The publisher says, how would you like to write the new Star Wars book? And I said, no. And my publisher said, why don't you think about it overnight? So I went back and I thought, well, it's very flattering to be asked by George Lucas to write this, but nevertheless, I just don't think I can. Then I thought, my children will throw me from the house and bar the door, and I will never be allowed back in if I say no to this project without good reason. So what I did was I said to my publisher, I said, well, all right, look, I need to speak face-to-face with George Lucas. I need to be reassured that I'm not going to be treated like some secondhand servant. I want to be able to know they're going to help me and not be obstructionist about this. I just need to feel we will connect on the project. And she said, that's good, because that's what he wants to do with you. So then I went down there and I was reassured, and it turned out to be a very good project, and they were extremely helpful, and George Lucas couldn't have been nicer or better to me about working on the project. He was good about saying, I'd like you. He understood what a book meant to a movie, that it wasn't just a paint-by-the-numbers replication, but that it was a companion piece. So he said, I want you to write some new material for the book. I want you to write more about Anakin Skywalker than what I got into the movie. And he says, if you want to change my dialogue, you can change it. If you want to drop scenes out or add scenes in, you can do it. And I said, that's good enough for me. And he was good to his word. I think I wrote that book in 90 days and turned it in and didn't change a thing.
Amazing. Now, we are a tattoo magazine, so I usually ask people if you have a tattoo, but I will...
Well, I can tell you I don't. I don't have a tattoo. I'm not that, I'm not that wild and crazy yet. I'm working on it.
Have you seen any of your characters turn into tattoos, or would you like to see?
I haven't really considered the whole tattoo thing. I read a lot of books where tattoos played a part in the story, and certainly having them marked with runes or something would be kind of interesting to do, but I don't believe I've ever made that a centerpiece. But of course, now that you've suggested the idea, I will probably take it and run with it.
That would be quite amazing. Do you have any new novels coming out that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I'm 2 books ahead of you already in terms of what's published. I've written 2 books in a 3-book set that will publish in March of next year, 2014, and in August. And then I will write and publish the 3rd one in 2015. I'm thinking that far ahead at this point. I have a series of books in the works that are not connected to anything that I've done before. I've decided it's time artistically to step out of the comfort zone and do something different. I'm very excited about that, and ultimately in the next 5 years I will write the conclusion to the genre series.
Do you have any tantalizing hints on some of the stories that are coming out?
I don't really have any tantalizing hints at this point. I never talk about my work before it's done because I sap some of the energy out of the project. So no, I can tell you that I do have a movie in the works for Magic Kingdom for sale, which is at Warner Brothers, and I'm hopeful that that will take flight sometime in the next 12 months. And I do have a TV show based on 12 Stones of Shannara that I also expect will show up on TV in the fall of 2014.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Angels from the sky.